So if we think about why a common standard is useful, firstly, it allows us to speak a common language, so that's consistency. Secondly, it sets minimum standards to be on par globally. And thirdly, it promotes confidence amongst users. Let me give you an actual case. This was a complex restructuring exercise involving valuations of businesses in 5 jurisdictions: Germany, Switzerland, Australia, China, and Malaysia. And we needed local teams working independently and in parallel. But using the IVS as a common language, it allowed the valuers to aggregate the results seamlessly, and for the clients, the counterparties, the regulators to be confident that the outputs are at a global standard, and that was what the market demanded. This leveling up of Malaysian issued valuations is a very real example of what the MIA Valuation Committee, as one of our early initiatives back in 2019, was trying to achieve when we became an institutional member of the IVSC and issued our best practice guide closely aligned to the IVS. The MIA recognizes that leveling up is a journey, and the MIA also understands that not everyone is at the same point along the journey, which is why, along with the best practice guide, we also issued the skill sets to perform business valuation activities. Think of this as an aspirational benchmark. It is not mandatory, nor is it a certification. What it does do is set out clearly that anyone holding themselves out as a business valuer should have the appropriate professional knowledge, professional skills, and professional ethics and behavior. That's our aspiration. Some are quite basic and probably easy to fix. For example, do you know that the IVS is quite specific about what a valuation report should contain? But some common practices include failing to specify the basis of value, whether it's market value, equitable value, investment value, and so on. Then there is being unclear about the premise of the valuation, or not setting out clearly the intended use or users. But then there are also those that relate to what the role of the valuer is. Examples here are like limited scope valuations, where there are too many caveats about what the valuer and the client have contractually agreed about limiting the scope and procedures. Then there is the valuer not taking a view, merely running numbers mechanically. So it becomes a mere calculation rather than the valuer expressing a considered opinion. Such practices would not be IVS compliant. I'd say, if it's your first time, take the effort to get it right. If it's a first-time valuation, then very likely it's an entrepreneur who's built up a business, is preparing for a corporate exercise, and possibly dealing with an investor or a very experienced private equity. It may be your first time, but almost certainly not the other side's first time. So, do your homework and prepare. Develop a narrative about the business. Understand the value drivers and what makes your business tick. Identify the risk factors and model them. And always appreciate the difference between price and value. So it's important to understand the IVS is a living document, constantly being nurtured and enriched. For me, I'm looking forward to more guidance on valuations relating to tech startups, digital assets, sustainability practices, or ESG generally. What I like about the IVS is that practitioners' views are always considered. The MIA, as an institutional member, is in a position to provide that feedback, and we do so. So we do influence the trajectory of where the standards are heading.